Will the US dollar crash? The dollar collapse is when the value of the US dollar falls. In this scenario, anyone holding dollar-denominated assets will sell them at all costs. This includes foreign governments that own the US treasuries. It also affects futures traders. Last but not least, will hit individual investors. When the crash occurs, these parties will demand assets in any currency other than the dollar. The collapse of the dollar means that everyone is trying to sell their dollar-denominated assets, and nobody wants to buy them. This will bring the dollar's value to near zero. It will make the hyperinflation look like a day in the park. Two situations that can lead to a crash. Two conditions must be met for the dollar to collapse. There must be an underlying weakness in the value of the US dollar, and there must be a viable alternative. In other words, there must be a reason people are running away from the dollar, and there must be a place to go. Otherwise, the dollar will remain the world's global currency. Most international contracts require a dollar payment, which contributes to its stability. Basic weakness. The dollar shows no underlying weakness between January 2008 and 2020. The dollar strengthened by 30% from 89.2 to 115. The coronavirus outbreak increased to 126.4 on March 23, 2020, making it 10% stronger. Why is that? The US economy is still seen as the strongest in the world. Investors believe the US government will support the currency. The strength of the dollar is based on the world's use as a reserve currency. The dollar became the reserve currency in 1971 when President Richard Nixon abandoned the gold standard. The dollar as a global currency is used in half of all cross-border transactions. For this requires central banks to keep the dollar in reserves to pay for these transactions. As a result, 61% of these foreign exchange reserves are in dollars. Applicable currency alternative. There is no suitable currency alternative for everyone to buy. The most popular currency after the dollar is the euro. However, it only accounts for 21% of the central bank reserves. China and others argue that a new currency should be created and used as a global currency. China wants its currency to be the yuan. This accelerates China's economic growth. China has not taken enough steps for the currency to be widely traded. Only 2% of central bank foreign exchange reserves. Bitcoin's value is highly variable because there is no central bank to manage it. It has also become the currency of choice for the black economy. This makes it vulnerable to the intervention of unknown forces. Economic event that could trigger a collapse. A collapse would not have happened without a triggering event that undermined confidence in the dollar. In total, the US debt of foreign countries is more than $6 trillion. The two largest are China and Japan. If they spill their treasury bills, they may cause a panic that leads to collapse. China holds about $1 trillion in the US Treasury. Japan also owns more than $1.2 trillion in the Treasury. It also wants to keep the new law to stimulate exports to the US. Japan is coming out of a 15-year deflationary cycle. The 2011 earthquake and nuclear disaster didn't help. The economies of Japan and China are dependent on US consumers. They know that if they sell their dollar, their actions will further decrease the value of the dollar. Hence, their products, still priced in yuan and yen, will be relatively more expensive in the United States. Their economy suffers. Currently, it is still in their interest to keep their dollar reserves. China and Japan are aware of their vulnerability. They sell more to other Asian countries that are getting richer. But the United States is still the best market in the world. When will the dollar crash? The US dollar is unlikely to collapse at all. Countries that have the power to do this, such as China, Japan, and other foreign dollar holders, don't want this to happen. This is not in their best interest. Why did you bankrupt your best client? Instead, the dollar will continue to decline gradually as these countries find other markets. Effects of the dollar crash. The sudden collapse of the dollar creates global economic turmoil. Investors would rush into other currencies like the euro or other assets like gold and commodities. Demand for treasuries will fall and interest rates will rise. US import prices skyrocket, causing inflation. US exports would be cheaper than water. This gives a brief momentum to the economy, but in the long run, inflation, high interest rates, and volatility will stifle possible job growth. Unemployment gets worse, driving the US back into recession and even depression. How to protect yourself? Protect yourself from the dollar collapse by protecting yourself from the dollar's gradual fall first. The collapse of the dollar creates global economic turmoil. To respond to this type of uncertainty, you must be mobile. Keep your assets liquid so you can change them as needed. Make sure your business skills are transferable. Update your passport in case things go bad for that long and you have to move to another country quickly. These are just a few ways you can protect yourself and survive a dollar crash.
Most of the idea, comment, information, and criticism containing in these videos have been created by Daily News Report. Before making any important investment decision, use the information contained in these videos as a starting point for conducting your own research. If you make any investment or legal decision, it is advised to consult an expert before making this decision.